Hi, welcome back to the Frappe podcast. My name is Foram. I'm your host, and today we have Michelle with us. Michelle has been a part of Frappe for 7 years. She is our director of products and she handles help desk, CRM, insights, learning these apps, and everything around these apps basically. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Forum.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great and excited. This is my first podcast, so excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think everything I've heard about you, like you've done so many roles across your 7 years at Frappe, and I want to know about all of them and how they've changed, your whole experience working and how they've come from things that you've done before that also.
I joined Frappe in 2019, and I think the first role that I did was actually the first project that I worked on was documentation, but
Okay.
I actually got hired as a business consultant. So back then, we just had two options: either I go for sales or support.
Okay.
I had a very different understanding of what sales was back then. So that was naturally something that I was not interested in. So I think that
You
left
chose
me with
support.
support. Yeah.
Like go some hit a target, hit a
Yeah.
target, go door to door.
I had exactly that understanding of it. So I was like, okay, let's do support. So I started with support, and after spending some time in support, I understood the product, and then the natural shift was towards implementation. So we did implementations back then in Frappe, and I started implementations. I think I did implementations for a year or two, and after that, I usually actually didn't like enjoy implementation per se. Like the only thing that I liked was helping build and implement things, but not the part where I had to talk to customers, understand their requirements. That was very tedious. Felt like a chore back then. So I thought might as well try something else. Yeah. So I had two options then, either to go for customer success or being a product manager. I think we were experimenting back then to have like product managers. And then one thing led to another, and I got added to this call for ISO, and then I did my ISO implementation.
Yeah, and then that's how I recognize you. I think the first time, my first week at Frappe, I was introduced, like you were there, we were at the offsite, and they were like, oh, this is the person who's doing ISO.
Okay.
I was like, okay, Michelle, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I was doing ISO back then, and then I got into operations, and now with the business apps team. So it's been a long journey and multiple roles.
Yeah, but I'm sure a very fulfilling one also.
Very, very, yes.
Yeah. How did you get into Frappe in the first place? Like, how did you end up here? What did you study? What did you want to do?
So I actually did engineering, and I didn't have like grand plans when I actually went into engineering. So it was like everybody was doing, and I had to do it. So that's how I
Yeah,
think most
like, figure it
most
out as
engineers
you go.
start
Yeah.
their journey. So I started it that way, and towards I think second, third year, I thought I had everything figured out. I wanted to then teach. So I loved teaching since childhood, and I thought it would make more sense for me to enter into this because I was passionate about teaching. Plus, they got vacations. So
Yeah. That is like I think the point that every teacher is
so
like,
that was
same
actually
school.
that was
Yeah.
one of the reasons I wanted to do that. And then so for that I did my masters, and when I actually had to sit for placements, I was like, I don't need this because I'm becoming a teacher. So when I had to actually apply for teaching, I got to know this, that the ratio, the student teacher ratio was changed,
Oh.
and they needed fewer teachers. So I was like, oh.
Now what?
Yeah. So my teachers told me, you know what? I don't think you will get easy promotions. You'll have to be in the same role for many years. And I was like, oh, is this something that I should really do? And I was very disappointed. But then I thought, okay, let's do the corporate job. Then there's no other option. So I went back, wrote my CV, and then met a friend. And she just got a job at Frappe, and then she told me, hey, maybe you can try. And that's how I landed up here.
Did you know about Frappe before, or was it just a new software company to you?
No, I knew about Frappe before. A few of my friends worked here before, but I actually got introduced to ERP Next back in 2000. I think in my fourth year of engineering, so that was 2017. We had this subject called ERPs, and we were just taught about basic. We got introduced to ERPs, and we had to explore the ERPs in market. So I went and Googled different
Best
ERPs in
ERPs.
market. Yeah, best ERPs in market, and I think I actually explored Odoo, but honestly couldn't quite understand the UX. And then I thought, okay, it's just a project. I just need to get done with this. So found the next one in the list, which was ERP Next, and loved the interface. It was pretty simple. Did my project, and I just yeah, that's how I got introduced to ERP Next.
So nice. You ended up in a place that you already knew,
Yeah.
at least the product, so maybe it was more interesting.
Yeah, looking back at it now, yeah, connecting the dots, yes.
And how was the interview process? Because I've heard so many funny interview stories, including mine. So how was yours?
When I actually reached the office, everything was quite different. It was actually very empty. I asked Rushabh, like, are people even, do they come? Is there no rules? Because I had this different understanding of how corporate works, right? Like, when you study and when you're like going for a campus interview or any interview, we have this whole training where they teach you how to behave. I don't know how it works now, but we were taught like, this is how the GDs work, the group discussions, this is how you should be presenting yourself, this is how you talk. You don't sit till they tell you to sit. And I had all these preconceived notions about how my interview would go.
Proper
And
toxic
I
work
had
culture
planned,
stuff,
I had prepared myself for it. So I reached the office and I could just see 1-2 people, and they told me sit, take a seat. And then I waited, and suddenly everybody got up to go for chas break. And I was like, what is this? they said they just this is something that we still do, by the way,
Yeah,
at
sacred
Frappe.
tradition for us.
Yes.
Like, even though we don't go out anymore, we make chas in the office.
In the
and we
office now,
drink it.
yeah. So they told me we're going for chas break, and come with us, join us. And I was like, no.
I know this is not what I'm supposed to do.
I was like, no, if I go for this and what if I don't get selected? Imagine having chas and chilling out, and then like, hey, sorry, we can't hire you.
Sorry, but
So I
thanks for
was
the
like-
chas.
I was like, let me just sit here, relax, prepare for the interview. And I said, I'll be here. They are like, oh, we can't leave you alone. You'll have to come with us. And that's where I met Rushabh on the way. And we just spoke casually. He asked me why the change, like, why are you looking to switch from teaching? I told him my story, everything was done. And we were back. And then my interview started, and I realized that it was almost over before I could start. And I had written this whole ME thesis, my master's thesis, and he was like, oh, you enjoy writing, which I don't, by the way. But he's like, oh, why don't we start with documentation? I think that's how I landed my first project, which was documentation. I wrote the HR documentation. Pretty bad start, actually. I didn't do a
enjoy
great
it.
job. I didn't do a great job, and it felt like a chore, but yeah. And then I started with support, and I think support was something that I actually really enjoyed. I really didn't know that I could enjoy solving problems, right? But when I did support, I figured that out. I would get a lot of kick when I would investigate problems, find out what went wrong, what wrong configurations were done, gave me better insights as to how a product works. And
A very
Yeah, I think-
Sherlock mindset. Like,
Yeah.
see like exactly what's wrong. And when you find that small thing, it's so satisfying.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was that support really helped me understand the product, and I think the natural next step was implementation. So I got
And back
into
then
it.
we were doing also, right? A lot of
Yeah.
implementations. I don't know how many percentage of implementations, but we had a couple
Almost
of teams
all. I think
dedicated
we were doing
to
the
it.
entire implementation ourselves, and
Okay.
then we were we back then had a small set of partners, not such huge network that we
now
have right now.
200
Right? We had-
plus. Yeah.
We had few partners, and we would just, I think, do implementations with them. But we had our core implementation team led by Umer. So
Like, so during this whole 1 year that you did implementations, how was that? How did you have any challenges, any bad project or any really cool one?
So implementation, I didn't enjoy as much as support, mainly because I had to then in support I had to just talk to them on maybe a few calls and lots of emails. But in implementation, I had to actually like talk to customers, understand their problems, and then go back, convey it to the dev team, implement it, test it, go back. So now that I look at it, it doesn't sound that bad. But I think there was one project which was one of the biggest deals that the sales team had closed back then.
Oh,
And when they passed it on to us, it was like
you have to
firstly-
get this right. Yeah.
yeah, there was huge pressure to begin with, but it was a US based project, and I think my entire day would like day would start with that project and end with that project. So we would wake up in the morning, talk to the customer, show the customer our product,
Time
what we've
difference
done.
also, yeah.
Yeah, the time difference, and then they would give us set of things that we need to do. Then we go back, we would implement that, go back in the night and show it to them.
Oh.
Then they would approve. Then the same cycle repeated. And after everything, I think we did it for a month or so, and then we got to know that the customer didn't want to continue.
Oh.
And that was very, very sad because we worked very hard for it.
Hmm.
And towards the end, I got to know that they probably had self-hosted, which is like now
Sadder, yeah.
which
It's
is
a little
even worse.
disappointing, yeah.
But I think that is, I mean, we are into that business, so now it's pretty common. But back then, it was very soul crushing, if I have to put it that way. And
Yeah.
I was very, very disappointed. So
What do you do to like deal with that?
I don't know. I just went on a break. I said, you know what, I don't want to do this. Like maybe
Hmm.
I need a break. So I went on a 1 week break. And then I think we just wanted to start with product management back then. And we also had this whole customer success thing planned. So I thought maybe I should not do this implementation. This is just, I used to get very anxious before calls also. Like, you know, I wouldn't enjoy it and I was pretty new. So I would get very scared and I would have a lot of anxiety before call. Like, so I was like, maybe let's do something that is more internal focused where I could talk to the team more than facing the external audience. Like, so I took a break and then
You switch from implementation.
yeah, but then I didn't switch to customer success or product management.
Okay.
I was actually thinking of switching to one of these things, and then suddenly one day Rushabh just adds me to a call. Okay, and he's like, "This is an ISO call. Are you interested to
Oh.
join?" So I
That's
was
how
like,
it
"Okay."
happened.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, just add me to this
Hmm.
call." So I was an observer. I was listening to what was happening, and then they told that they would need two people to handle this project. One would be a management representative who would look at the quality side of things, and one would be the CISO, which is the security side of things. So after a week or so, Rushabh is like, "Why don't you pick, you know, the
This is your
MRPs?"
main, yeah.
And I was like, it's just been like a year or two in Frappe. I don't think I'm ready for it. He's like, just do it. I think you'll do it.
But you were really on top of it. Like, I think we discussed this during the offsite also. That's why I remember it very clearly. Like, they were like, oh, it's going well. And, you know, you were getting everybody in place. And because you had to interact with almost everybody.
Yeah, I think somehow I enjoyed that. Like, I mean, it seems ironic now. Like, I've just said that I don't enjoy talking to people or talking to customers. It's not that, it's
I
not
think
true
it's
anymore.
a type of people also.
But I now, you know what, it was, I think I was getting into the more problem solving side of things when I took up the ISO project. So, firstly, I got to understand how businesses work outside because we had to implement some set of processes internally also, right? Like, then I tried to understand from different departments how they would function, like the HR, admin. Some departments which I'm clueless about, I got to understand how they work. So I got exposed to a lot of processes, then coordinating between multiple people, helping them write down the processes, going back to the ISO implementation team. So I really enjoyed that. And it was COVID time, so it kept me on my toes, right? Like, I mean,
because it can
was,
get boring at home.
yeah, so it was very, it was fun. The project was really fun, and that's how I got into operations also. So I realized that, okay, I might not enjoy implementing things for others, but I really enjoy implementing things for Frappe. So we had to
Okay.
implement systems for Frappe, and that was
Huh.
something that I really enjoyed.
But how do you get in, like you said, you went through the whole process, but how do you make that process for yourself also? Like to be so thorough that, because in ISO you can't miss a single thing.
So I don't know. I'm not a very structured person. If you honestly ask me, I don't have like a to-do list or I don't take notes. I think I really enjoy multitasking. Maybe mainly because I get bored doing the same thing. So if you see my computer, it has multiple tabs, similar to the tabs in my brain. Like, I really switch conversations also very quickly. Like, I get very distracted easily, but I think I've learned to use it in my favor. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
but if it's easier for you to context switch, I think that's a skill, because like
yeah,
it's
I
hard
think
to do it in general.
yeah, I think I've learned how to deal with it. So that project was essentially that, right? Like talking to multiple people, and all of them do different work, like different departments, understanding how they work. So
Yeah.
context switching back then really helped. I think it still helps. Like, if you see the current role that I am in.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is that why your role right now is so cross-functional, that you're doing everything from marketing to product development, telling the engineers, you know, what features people might want, and talking to customers also.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think it makes sense. Because it doesn't keep, I don't feel bored, right? Like if today I'm testing, tomorrow I'm marketing, um, then the next day I'm talking to the designer, helping the team
Yeah,
implement
land,
things. So like,
yeah.
yeah, so it's like fun, and there are 4 different products, 4 different individuals. Now we have a team. So earlier we had just one person in for each product, but now we are building a team as well. So it's really fun.
And like the team also, you seem to get along with them like very, very well. And you've also mentioned that it's a great team to work with. Like all your skills are complementary. And tell me more about that.
Everybody in the team are engineers, and I think they are exceptional engineers. Like they are very motivated. So one good thing about how these products came into picture is not like somebody told them, go and do this. They picked those projects on their own.
Yeah.
So they are very motivated that way. And I think what I bring to the table is just like complementary skills. Like, I mean, they are good engineers, and I just try to do the rest of it. Like they might not have time talking to people, researching what is in the market, driving the revenue, or testing or something like that, right? I just help them do that, and kind of like a facilitator. And I think that is what I really enjoy, like seeing that efforts transformed or translated into something that is worth their time, as well as what they're putting into, the efforts that they're put into, right? Like, so that feels good.
Like every customer that you might get on any of these apps must feel incredible, right? Like even if it's one new site, must feel that, oh,
Yeah.
you've achieved something.
Definitely, because these are new products, and I think back 2 years ago, people didn't know they existed, and now I mean, we are getting some customers. By the way, everybody would come for ERP Next, but now we are also getting customers who are just coming for these products, and that itself is a huge validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these products can work very well on their own. And even if they're like, of course, in some or the other way connected to ERP Next, like
Yeah.
they can also exist independently, and you're making sure people know that.
Correct. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's fulfilling when I get to hear from customers or from people who have probably never heard of ERP Next. I don't think that's a problem though. Like, it's great if they know Frappe because of ERP Next and somehow discover these products. But now we are getting to know people who are discovering Frappe through these products. So
Yeah.
that's a huge
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a part of like what you would call success in this role?
I think yes. I think when I started this year, I mean, if you read my SOP for the year, I've written that I want these products to be known and been taken seriously. So there is this. So every time when somebody says, you know what, I want to start a new product, and we just like, I mean, we are not like the typical businesses, how businesses usually work. They do their research, and they are like, okay, now this is the product that we should be building. That's not what we follow at Frappe, right? Like, you know. So at Frappe, if we have a problem, instead of searching any solution in the market, we like building it ourselves. And most of the products that we've built have come through that, from that path, right?
All the roles that you've defined have always been about logic and process. And is that how your mindset usually is?
Yes, I think so. But most people at work, or the people that I work with, usually don't think this way. Like, they are more, I mean, most of the decisions that we take are very
Philosophy based. Yeah.
Yes, they are. So I find, usually earlier I used to find it very hard to relate to. I still do. But I have made peace with it. Like, earlier I used to feel what I think is the right thing, and I mean, this is how it should be done, right? Like, this is how it works. But I've begun to realize that there's no single right answer, right? There are multiple paths to reach the destiny. Yeah. So I think it works now. I've seen it work all these years. So I'm coming to believe that this is also a path. But what is most challenging maybe is trying to change people's perception. It's firstly understanding that there are different perspectives, and also making people realize that it's okay to try something that probably is working out in the market, right? Like, I mean, that is one debate that we keep having internally, but I think it is working fine.
Yeah,
So far,
I think
so
like
good.
when you get into the parts of philosophy and all, most of the decisions at Frappe are taken philosophy based, and we put a lot of I think mind onto it. And but the thing about it is that philosophy really differs from person to person.
Correct.
Like when you talk about something more material, more people are likely to be on one side or the other.
Right.
There are not 10 different opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would we still consider all of them?
So we keep having those debates, right? Internally in
Hmm.
Frappe, this is one of the hot topics that we keep talking about. And earlier, it wouldn't make sense to me much, but I think it works fine. So yeah, my brain works in a more logical way than I don't like something that is very abstract. I like things that are more like clarity, something that I really like. But it's very different at Frappe.
Yeah.
But I think I've learned to live with it.
But have you felt like, what is that 1-2 examples where you felt that this is the difference between how I think it should be versus how like it is at Frappe?
We are still struggling with this, where we still aren't clear with, we don't have like a clear goal. And I think it's perfectly okay. If you ask different people, everybody will have a different answer. But for me, I think most, I tend to have like a goal and then work backwards. So when I joined the business team, business apps team, I had this very clear goal that I want to hit X revenue. And I think I for me it is so simple, right? Like, I mean, if I have to hit X revenue, I have to get so many leads. These are the features that we need to build.
Yeah.
And it just works perfectly in my mind. But then I've realized that is not how most people think, and it's okay. So, but sometimes that clarity probably which they have, that doesn't sort of get translated. So that is one thing I think internally also, when we talk about revenue, not many people are very vocal about
Yeah,
it. Right?
it's not a priority publicly for us, at least. That,
Yes, it's
but
not.
it's a very obvious thing for revenue to be a priority, because we all have to still get paid. We still need to build a stable company that's going to go on for years and years.
Correct. I think revenue is important for sustenance. What I also think is it's not a bad thing. Firstly, I don't think people think it's a bad thing, but like when you keep constantly talking about revenue, it's like, oh, you'll do anything to get that revenue. But I don't think that's true. Like, you can be ethical, you
Of
can do the
course.
right thing. For me, revenue is more about validation, right? Like, I mean, we are doing so much open source, and everything is open, right? Like, everything is free. But at the end of the day, you have to feel validated. Like, yes, number of users definitely is one parameter which.
But revenue is a similar one. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
because people, when they're ready to pay, they actually value you, right? That is what I think. And like you said, we all get paid because we want to feel like there has to be some fairness.
Yeah, our work has value to it. Like,
That's
and
right.
yeah, even like, doesn't it also confirm the fact that people are also choosing us not because we're free, but because we're good?
That exactly is what I feel. Like, not just because we are free, or okay, this is just another software, I can save money. It's not that, right? It's because we are good, and that is why they're ready to pay. So that is something that I think I find a little difficult to articulate within the team, because like you mentioned, most of the decisions are very philosophically driven, and I'm not that kind of a person. So, but I think now I have found that balance where I understand the team's perspective. I also understand people who think like me, our perspective as well. So yeah, I think
It's a good shared as a momentum, because the goal actually is the same only.
correct.
Yeah,
At
but
the
there's
end, we
different
all
approaches.
correct. There are
Yeah.
different approaches to it, and I think I mean, it's been working so far, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure it'll work.
So, like, one part of you growing through all these years has been understanding that philosophy and materialistic goals, sounds a little negative, can exist together. What have the other things been?
I think, see, there are two things that Frappe is known for. One is pick your own work and pick your own pay. I think the latter has got its share of fame. Like,
Yeah.
everybody knows us because of that. But I think for me personally, pick your own work has really helped me a lot. So, like, I've switched multiple roles, and that was because of pick your own work. And that also gave me a sense of ownership. So there's this one incident, maybe I can talk about it. So I think it was back when it was just a year or two into Frappe, when I was into Frappe, and we have this concept of open days, right? Where we have
Right,
to
we
show
present our work.
Correct. And I had just taken data from the system, and I had to show different plans that existed, like the pricing plans. And there were so many plans that they couldn't fit into my pie chart. was so many and I couldn't select the colors, and I was like, why do we have so many plants? So I went back and I asked, and I got to know that there is this concept of grandfathering plans, which was pretty new to me, where if a customer buys a plant from you today, you kind of like grandfather it for the next days, even next couple of years, even if you've changed the plan.
Oh, like a legacy plan.
Like legacy
Okay,
plan,
yeah.
right? So I was like, okay, but for how long will we be doing this,
Hmm.
right? So I suggested, why don't we merge and bring some legacy plans into picture, and I thought maybe I could put this idea somewhere and somebody would pick it up. And then Rusha was like,
You do
drive
it.
it. You drive it. So I was like, how can I drive it? It has revenue
Hmm.
implications, and I don't know why these plans are brought into picture. I have no context. And he's like, just do it. You can talk to a few people and they'll help you. And I was like, okay. And then I did my
Hmm.
research. I put it out in the public that this is what we are going to gain
Hmm.
from it, and this is how much we probably might lose if things don't go the right way. And they were like,
Cool.
do it. So I think that project was a success, but
Hmm.
that gave me a lot of understanding of how things work at Frappe, and gave me a lot of sense of ownership.
Yeah, it's so interesting to put so much trust.
Correct. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that really helps. I
Hmm.
mean, putting trust in somebody, that really motivates them, and I think that gave me a lot of motivation.
Yeah, and it's like I do agree that pick your own pay is pretty cool because it's a more controversial and people will talk about it because it's money. But pick your own work is also just as cool. Like,
It
yeah,
is.
recently I dropped a smaller project of mine, knowing that it might not be the best thing to just drop a project because I was not giving, but I was not able to give so much focus. I was not able to do the best work that I could.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was
Yeah,
just
it was
completely fine. Like even when I was here back in 2021, I got hired to do a certain job, which was to write courses for Frappe School. But then I got bored and then I eventually switched to marketing. And everybody, including Basav in the Frappe School team, was like, cool,
Yeah.
do what you want.
That's how it works.
Yeah. It's very interesting and new to, I think, anybody who experiences it
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
first
I
time.
think for me now it doesn't sound very weird. Like,
Mm.
but I'm pretty sure people who have not experienced this, they might be thinking, how does this work? Obviously, we are not just leaving things there.
Mm.
We are it's either passed on to somebody else or there is some
Yeah,
responsibility.
we're
But
following up. Yeah.
work shouldn't feel like a chore, right? At the end of the day, it should feel interesting. You want to work on something that is actually fun.
Yeah, and then you'll do it better, I think, in my opinion. If you're interested and
Definitely.
invested, you'll do it better. But
Definitely.
this has never gone wrong, has it? Like, people have never taken advantage of it. People have never.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I personally don't think so. I think if you don't enjoy something, it shows up, right? Either you're demotivated or it just this lack of interest. And why waste time doing something that you're not interested in? So this pick your own work pretty much works well in everybody's favor, according to me.
And like, I wanted to ask more about like the ownership part also. Like, I've seen you stay true to a project and, keep owning the project no matter how slow or boring or, you know, how much ever it falters. And what keeps you that motivated?
I don't know. I just believe there is always a tomorrow, right? Like if
Mm.
things don't work out today, it will work out eventually. So if I have like a goal in mind and I know that, this is achievable, I just don't give up easily. That's something that I wasn't born with. Like I've learned it, especially here, I've learned it a lot. Like there have been failed projects and that's not the end, right? Like you have to pick yourself up and
I can do it. I can
yeah,
do
I can
more.
do it. So I've learned that, and I think that is what keeps me going every day. Like it's not going to be the best day every day, but yeah, slowly, some progress is going to lead to some. It's going to lead you to a good outcome.
Yeah, because like all these roles also that you've done, it must take like a certain amount of will and drive to be like, if not this and this, I'll find my right fit at one point.
Definitely, I think so. Yeah, I think
But also, I think right fits are overrated because and it's not just one. Every phase can have a new one. So, like you were saying, right now, the product team is a great place for you to be.
yeah, right now it is, but tomorrow I don't know, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe there is something else, there is something more interesting, or maybe now the product team can do things on their own, and then maybe there is some other interesting challenge that needs me, and
Go for it.
yeah, go for it.
So, in all these other, like every role, you've shown some kind of leadership quality, right? Like, has it always been there since childhood?
When I was in school, I was used to be the class monitor, and I used to like writing on boards, like being there. So maybe I think it has come from there. But see, I don't believe now that leadership is just this one person who dictates, right? You can be leaders, you can be a leader every day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we have this whole thing where we talk about situational leadership. I don't know, I think it's true, but I'm not very confident on about how it'll play out in the long run. But situational leadership is basically where, there is a situation, somebody will rise and up with the
Okay. Yeah,
occasion, and
somebody will
this is
step
what
up and
Rishabh keeps
take care of
saying.
it.
But
Yeah.
I think, see, there has to be like there has to be some designated person who picks it up and does it. But also, if you see a problem, if you see a challenge, I don't think I'm afraid to pick it up and do it. So I think that kind of attitude has helped me take up leadership roles or
Even teaching,
challenges.
even teaching requires a certain amount of leadership, right?
It does,
I think a
right?
lot of it actually, especially if you're working with younger kids or something,
Yeah.
like it requires a lot of initiation.
You have to start, put the idea, and then you have to facilitate. Make sure that the people execute. It's not just you dictating. Then it becomes like more of a manager.
Yeah.
But leader is someone who shows sort of like a path, and people kind of follow it. And I think follow it together. Maybe it's not like a
Yeah,
dictator.
facilitation. You're
Yeah,
doing that with the
facilitation.
team also right now, right? Facilitation. Like I think you've used the word multiple times.
Because that is the current buzzword at Frappe, right? Like we keep
We're not
keep-
bosses, of course, we're never bosses.
we
but
keep changing it. Right now it's facilitators.
Okay.
So yeah, but I think it's the same. I think you have to someday be a manager. You at some days when things are bad, you have to manage and take charge of things. Sometimes you are a leader, a friend, a facilitator. You have to don different hats.
But like the word manager has become such a negative connotation. कि वो manager will tell you what to do, toxic, and
Yeah, because that is how it is being perceived out externally. But I don't think it's bad, right? Like I mean,
you
it's
need
okay.
somebody
You need
to help get somewhere.
correct. You need people
It's like
to
a project
manage.
manager. Yeah.
You don't always manage people, right? You manage things, you manage systems. So I don't think when you say manager, it's that this person is managing me, right? This
Yeah.
person is managing things. It's okay.
And that person also takes ownership, right?
Correct.
Of anything that goes right or wrong.
That's
Yeah.
right. So I think, like I said, right, a manager is not just a manager every day. That manager could be a leader, a facilitator someday. So right now, I'm playing the role of a facilitator. That's what I feel, because the people that I work with are people who have spent a lot of time in Frappe with as well. Like I've
Okay.
known them since many years. So this whole equation with them is also pretty chill. It's not like, I think all of us are equal in the team, and like I
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah.
we have complementary skills, so it works well.
And this whole problem solving plus leadership mindset must unlocks a really cool level. Yeah. Like to
think it
get
does.
stuff done well. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So now that we're moving towards the end, what is something that has been blaringly obvious that you've learned through these 7 years?
That I'm way more resilient than I thought I was back then, right? Like I can, I don't give up easily. I think that's what I've learned. Like it has not been just success in the last 7 years. A lot of failures as well, but lot of, I wouldn't call them failures. They were lessons, experiences, which I don't think I would have learned any other way. So, but the fact that I kept going is something that if I couldn't have imagined myself doing this when I actually went through those challenges back then. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, like when we're going through it, feels impossible. And
Yeah.
then we come out of it, this, we
Yeah.
did it. Yeah,
It's okay. I
fine.
mean, now when I look back, it was okay.
Hmm.
It's part and parcel of life.
And how does this, things working out, not working out, play into the very logical part of you?
I think very logically, right? Like, I mean, if there's a bad day, there will always be a good day. So, I mean, I think now I've learned that it wasn't that easy earlier. Like, because it drains a lot of your energy as well, right? You feel demotivated. There is lack of interest in anything, and then I know that if it has worked out in the past, it will work out in the future too. So I think that is what I've learned in the last 7 years.
So you're holding on to like the fact that no matter what, something good will come out of it if you're putting
Correct.
in your work.
Yeah, if I'm doing my
Yeah.
best, something good should come out of it, and it will. Hopefully someday.
It will. And what is your definition of success?
That keeps changing every day.
Nice.
That keeps changing every day. I think it has to do a lot with being content with what I'm doing. It maybe someday success is just like waking up and doing your daily chores. That's it. And some days just accomplishing something big, right? So it changes every day. And I think as long as you feel happy and content and satisfied, and it sort of aligns with your like life goals and principles, I think that is success to me.
Yeah, like if you've gotten somewhere, but if you've done something you're not proud of, then what's the point?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
That
I have
makes sense.
at the end of the day, I have to feel happy and accomplished about it. It might be as simple as just waking up and just doing nothing, or just doing something great.
Yeah, you need that balance in your life where,
Yes.
yeah, makes sense. Okay, so now this is one of my favorite parts to do with our team members is to, so I've asked people rapid fire questions to ask you. So now you're going to have to answer them. Some of them are easy, some of them are interesting. Okay, which one is your favorite product and why?
Oh, okay. I think all of them are, but currently that also changes every day. Today maybe Frappe CRM.
Very diplomatic. All of them are, but today maybe Frappe CRM. Okay, what role has been your favorite role that you've played until now at Frappe?
I think when I was doing operations.
And this one I think is a crowd favorite. How do you always remain so energetic?
I don't know. I think that will that I don't know. I will let you know when I get to know it.
Yeah, I think everybody asks you this, right?
I seriously don't know. I don't think I am, but okay.
No, I think you
I'm
are.
very hyperactive, so
Really? Like I
People-
feel like you're just on it. You get stuff done. You don't procrastinate, and it just gets done.
no.
Like
I think good if people think that way, but I procrastinate till the end.
No,
Yes, I think
would not guess that about you at all.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, because like even like when you post on social media or when we talk about anything, a writing thing, and like by evening you're like, oh, I have it. Why don't you read? And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, wait, that's quick.
No, but I think I don't know that again. It's perception, right? Like good.
Good
If
perception.
people have that
Yeah, great
perception.
perception. Next one is what is the biggest kick you get out of your current role?
Weird about it, but I think now the growing revenue gives me the biggest kick.
And
That
you
we are
get to-
contributing to Frappe's revenue, right? Like these being very small products, and probably I don't know how serious they were being taken when I didn't take them pretty serious when they started. So now that they are getting value, actual value, that probably is giving me the kick today.
But they become more stable and everything also.
Yes,
like
they
the
are.
devs have worked hard to make it as a
Correct.
really full of features and stable.
So I think these are the first. I mean, these set of products are the first set of products after ERP Next that are actually working for us. I mean, of course, Frappe Cloud is also there, but like that is the whole revenue channel. But now these products being recognized, I'm much more confident when there is somebody coming in the team and saying I want to work on this. I'm like, okay, go for it. Maybe it will work out.
Yeah.
Earlier I was like, why are we doing this? But now, yeah,
Good stuff. What was your favorite year at Frappe?
maybe 2025.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think 2025 was pretty great. We did a lot of new things also. And this last one you'll have to give me context on because I just got one word, which is pigeons. I was supposed to
Oh.
ask you about pigeons.
Who's asked this? Like, I think everybody knows about it. I'm just afraid of pigeons. I just don't like them. Like, so I think I'm actually like, I think I have a phobia. It dates back to when I was in 7th grade, I think 2007. And like I told you, right, I like writing on the board. I was writing on the board. And one pigeon flies in the class and hits the fan
Oh my
and falls next to
Oh
my
my
leg.
god, no.
And from that day, I just can't stand pigeons. And it's very specific. It's pigeons inside a closed room. It's not like I get scared when I walk on the road, but it's inside closed rooms.
Kind of hate that you made me imagine that.
I just hate
But
But yeah,
very understandable. I would support you if I also saw something like this.
I just don't like pigeons. Sorry to everybody who likes pigeons.
But thank you so much for being on the podcast. I had such a good conversation with you.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.